Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live stream today. I'm very glad to have Andreea Pana with me today, who has a project that really touched my heart, and I'm so happy that she takes the time to be here on Sunday with us in the live talk. Andreea, could you please introduce yourself and tell a bit about your background?
Definitely. So, hi everyone. My name is Andrea. I am from Sweden. My background is in digital marketing, and I'm also quite a big animal lover. That's how I grew up, and I'm really happy to be here to tell you a bit more about the project that we're doing for Greece. Hmm?
That's great. So, how did it come that you're a Swedish person and do a project for Greece?
Yes. So, originally, I'm actually from Romania. I have double citizenship, so both Romanian and Swedish.
Mhm.
So, I think my love for animals started since I was quite young. My family also loves animals quite a lot. So, we've been adopting, fostering, neutering, I think tens, if not hundreds of animals during my time in Romania. So then obviously I grew up a lot with animals. So then every year nowadays I visit Greece together with my boyfriend, and we spend all of our afternoons essentially feeding the stray cats and dogs there. So last time we went to Greece, we went to Kos, and there were so many cats in Kos. It was one of the worst, I think. So every afternoon for about a week, in the evening for 2 hours, we would walk along a road and just feed all of the cats and dogs that we saw. And then finally, we saw a cat that we both really loved and liked. And we thought, okay, maybe we'll adopt him. Let's try it out. Let's reach out to some NGOs. So we reached out to, I think, all of the NGOs on the island, and they all turned us back. They were saying that they don't have the resources to help us out because, of course, they would need to somehow pick up the cat, and help us out. But they don't have enough time. They don't have enough financial resources, and it was hard. Finally, we found an NGO that directed us to one single woman that was in Kos feeding the cats at the place where that cat was. So I finally reached out to her, and we're kind of chatting right now. Her name is Livia. She's quite an amazing person. But it was just very hard and very heartbreaking to see that it's just very hard to get help as a tourist. And that's nothing that necessarily has to do with the willingness of the NGOs to help. It has to do a lot with their support. So with their networks and with their financial support, it's just not enough to be able to help the tourists. And there are so many tourists. If you just do a search on TikTok with Greek cats, who
Yes.
find cats and they're wondering, how can I take this cat with me? Like, is $300 enough to take this cat with me back to the UK? So a lot of supporters of this movement are actually from the UK because that's kind of the biggest chunk of tourists are coming from the UK. And actually, the UK is one of the top countries when it comes to supporting animal welfare
Yes.
and the love for animals. So every single tourist that we spoke with that loves animals goes through the same thing. They're wondering, how can I help? There's over 200 NGOs across Greece. So who do you donate to? Who do you support? There's no real answer. You just have to pick one because it's not like people can go ahead and start donating to all of the NGOs that exist across the entire country. They need to pick one. And then they start wondering, well, then I'm helping in cost, but next year I'm going to go to Crete and I'm going to find the same thing. So how can I help the cats in Crete or the dogs?
Mhm.
Um, so it's just this, as tourists, I feel that we're all struggling with the same issue. So of course, we don't live in Greece. I think it's much harder for animal lovers in Greece. We do have one organization on board. They're called the Leros Cat Foundation,
Mhm.
and it's actually run by someone from the UK who moved to Leros, which is an island in Greece. And they moved there basically to retire and have some good times in Greece, in the
Mhm.
sun, at the beach, etc. But they're big animal lovers. So now they've ended up having 50 cats feeding around 200 cats around the island. And financial support is basically very, very little. Yes.
I know the story.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually really sorry. I need to quickly plug in my laptop. I don't know how this happened. I'm just going to quickly grab my charger.
No problem. So in the meantime, I can just tell the people that I faced the same problem. Came to Greece, tried to retire here, and then I saw all the problems with the animals. And yeah, I ended up having an NGO and doing animal protection, doing neutering programs, feeding the animals, because if you have a heart, you just can't watch all the suffering. It's impossible.
Exactly. Exactly. It's quite a it's quite a big problem. And it's not only about Greece. And we have received some comments from, from Greek people that, it's not just Greece, it's a lot of other countries, and that's very true. And that's essentially why we are called Animal Ally Society and not Greek Animal Ally Society,
Yes.
because at its heart, this project aims to be a global project. So for Greece, this is the pilot project. So we're trying to see if this concept works, and if it does, then we move forward to other countries as well.
Yes. Before I ask you to describe your project
Hmm?
and the concept of the project, I I follow the advice of a friend of mine who is in Tobago and tell you that the West Indies would be a good project.
Mm,
There's a lot of animal suffering
definitely. Uh, it's all, and I'll explain it further in the project, but it's all about having people backing us. That's the key solution to this.
there. So
And
please go ahead and tell us your idea.
yeah, we'll do. Let me just quickly share my screen here as well, just so we
Mhm.
have that. Um, let's see. Mhm. All right. Mhm. If you can just let me know if you see.
Absolutely, I see everything.
Okay, perfect. So essentially, what we're trying to do, the first step of the project is to unite NGOs across Greece. So basically, what we do is we talk to these NGOs, we sign a collaboration contract with them.
Mhm.
We don't have any actual say in their operations. We just talk to them and see if they align with our goals and our love for animals. And we sign collaboration contracts, and then they're part of the project. So, what that means is that we want to create a unique voice for Greek animal welfare and for the NGOs that are in Greece. That way, we can get more support from tourists, from Greek people, and from companies in the end.
Yeah.
So, what we need for this project to succeed is for people to register to our newsletter and follow us on social media. And we need that so that we can get corporate sponsors. So, the way that you should think about this is think about influencers, beauty influencers on
Mhm.
TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram. They make some of them, the most successful ones who have millions of followers, they make millions of dollars every single year. So imagine that each post that they post about a certain brand brings them around, it can be between $5,000 to $10,000 if they're a big influencer. So that's what we want to do. We basically need to get people to follow us on social media, so mostly Facebook and Instagram, and register to our newsletter. Then it can give us the power for all of the NGOs, together with the backing of the people, to go to these companies. One example that is just right off the top of my head is TUI, which is
Mhm.
the company that organizes trips to Greece. We want to be able to get them to sponsor this movement. So essentially, they would be paying a certain amount of money per month for them to get sponsored in our newsletters, on our posts as supporters of the movement. So um, what this why this why we're doing this is because one single NGO, let's say Greek and Swiss animal help from Kos in Greece, if they would go to TUI and say, hey, would you like to sponsor us? TUI is such a big company that they're not really looking to sponsor an organization that has, I don't know, maybe 5,000 followers. That's way too little for what they're looking
Mhm.
for. And one thing that we need to keep in mind all the time, which is a little bit sad, but true, all of these companies are for profit. So
Yeah.
everything that these companies do, and we're talking about companies like TUI, not the
Mhm.
NGOs, they're looking to make a profit. It's as simple as that. That's their only goal. Sure, some companies maybe are run by people who are nice and want to help, but the majority of them, their goal is to get awareness about their brand, to get sales, to make money. That's their goal. So what we need to do is show them that they can get marketing in return for actually supporting something good. And at that point, that's how we can get them on board. And this means that, they will be mentioned in our newsletters, at the footer of our newsletter. Maybe when we run ads to get people to register, we can have sponsored by and then the company name. So all different things that we could do. If we create flyers for the movement, they can be at the footer of the flyers. So there's different strategies. Since my background is in digital marketing, I'm quite aware of what these companies would
Yeah.
want. So the actual plan behind it is quite extensive, I would say. Um, but let me tell you a little bit about ourselves as well. So we're three people on our team. I think you can see the screen right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
So Andrea, that's me. I've been working with digital marketing, website analytics, GDPR alignment, and also design for the past,
Mhm.
I would say, around 10 years of my life. Misha works with analytics programming and he's a GDPR specialist. So we're quite aware about data protection and we take that very
Mhm.
seriously. And then Laura has been working in project management for a long time. She also has experience with digital marketing as well. So we're all based in Sweden and Laura's from the UK, just as a bit of an
Mhm.
overview about us as well. You can find us on the website. So we're quite transparent. You can find all of our LinkedIn profiles there as well. So this is kind of the entire vision that we wanted to show you. So the first step is to unite nonprofits. So NGOs across Greece, which we've talked about. So
Mhm.
far, we have, I think, around 8 or 9 NGOs that we have signed contracts with. One of them is actually Taki's Shelter as well, which is quite a big one. I think
Yeah.
most people are familiar with them. But we have a bunch of different amazing NGOs on board. So what we're trying to do now is to gain enough supporters behind us so that we can get corporate sponsors. So what we really need from people is not donations. That's not at all what we're asking for. All they need to do is just subscribe to the newsletter on our website and then follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's going to give us all enough power in our talks with these corporate sponsors. We can give them something back for them financially supporting the movement. So
So let's put this clearly from all the people who are listening today or in the future. All you need is subscribe to the newsletter and follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
exactly, that's all
That
we need.
can be done. If you love animals, that really can be done. That's not a problem. It doesn't
No.
cost anything. It's an action about 5 minutes and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So if you love animals, please invest these 5 minutes and support the Animal Allies Society in giving them your email address, focus on the newsletter, follow all the information, and please like and support on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Thank you. That's exactly it. So we don't ask for any donations. It's just a simple action of following. And imagine the amount of power that we would have as a nonprofit. By the way, we are an official nonprofit in Sweden. That's where we're registered. But imagine the power if we get 500,000 followers, a million followers. Think
Mhm.
about it like this. There are 30 million tourists every year who visit Greece. And based on statistics, 50% of people in Europe own at least one pet. So
Mhm.
I would assume that 50% of the 30 million, so 15 million, are animal lovers. Imagine if we just get 500,000 followers, how much we can change when it comes to animal welfare in Greece. So, one thing I want to touch upon as well is so what happens to the finances that we get from corporate sponsors. So, right now, and in the future that we foresee, um, all of the money will go into a fund within Animal Ally Society and then distributed equally to all of the NGOs in the project. So what we do at Animal Ally Society doesn't really need much finances. So if you look at PETA, for example, right, they're one big NGO. They need a lot of administrative. They have a lot of administrative costs. They have employees. They do a lot, but that's because they're an NGO. We are just a representation of NGOs. So the
Mhm.
administrative costs that we have today are zero. So we're putting in our own finances to actually run the digital marketing campaigns to get people to register. And also in the future, administration on our side is going to be very low. We don't really need to do anything other than have a person contacting companies and hotels and other corporations and one person handling the finances. And that's basically it because we are distributing the money to the NGOs who are actually operating locally. So just wanted to mention that. And another thing is that we will be checking what the finances are used for. So at
Yes,
least at the
I
beginning,
wanted to ask that.
exactly. So the NGOs will have their own little fund, so they would know how much money they have, and then they can send in a request, and that request can be for maybe purchasing food or neutering 100 cats, etc. And then after a certain period of time, they can send us the invoices so we can check if that was done and if the money was used for what was requested. Of course, if there's plus minus 100 euros or so, it is what it is. But we want to have that information so that we can have statistics on what the funds are used for. We want to have proof for the people who do register and do support this, and of course proof
Mhm.
for the other nonprofits and for the companies that support us. So I would say
Right.
that one other thing that I would like to touch upon, I'm just gonna make this bigger. And this is kind of a little bit, and we're trying to do perhaps a trial run this summer, but we want to
Mhm.
get hotels involved, hotels
Mhm.
and restaurants in Greece. So a lot of tourists, of course, stay at hotels. They go to these restaurants. So we want to create an official certification program for these
Mhm.
hotels and restaurants. And essentially, what they would need to do is donate to the movement, so to the Animal Allies Fund, and make sure that they collaborate with NGOs to take care of the animals around their establishments. In return, they get a framed certificate that they can put up at their hotels. They get presented on our website. This here to the left is an example of how the page is going to look like. So their
Mhm.
logos are going to be on the page. We're going to even have a map where tourists can go and check if their hotel is part of this movement. And I think that's very valuable for tourists because a lot of times we go to hotels and perhaps we regret it because we see how they're treating the animals there. So this way you would know that if the hotel you're going to is actually supporting animal welfare in a sustainable way. Right now, the only collaboration we see between NGOs and hotels, and here I'm talking about the majority of hotels because, of course, there are some hotels who really do care about animals, but it's too little of them,
Mhm.
too few of them. But the majority of collaborations with hotels just imply that the NGOs have a donation box there. And
Yes.
that's it. And hotels tend to threaten the NGOs that if you don't help me with the cats on my site, I will remove your donation box. And I think that that's terrible. So now we're shifting from this responsibility of NGOs, you have to take care of the cats around my hotel for you to have the donation box, to If you want to be seen by tourists as a hotel that is supporting animal welfare, then you will donate. And that's give and take, right? It's not going to be any pressure on the NGOs. It's going to be a different goal for hotels. They will be participating in return for marketing, and they will be the one who need to contribute. So if they want a cat or a dog neutered or taken to a shelter, they will have to essentially pay for that to happen. And
And
I was
get
quite
part of the network.
exactly. So I was quite disappointed when I went to Kos last time. Um, I saw a few cats around the hotel. Some of them were drinking pool water, which we all
Mm.
know is not good at all. So we went to the hotel staff and asked them, like, why aren't you doing anything about this? Is there no way that you can help? And the person at the counter, who of course, he's not in a management position. So we weren't mean to them or anything, but they pointed us to the donation box that they had. They had a little donation box there for an NGO on the island. It was in the darkest corner of the hotel. I've been looking for a donation box in that hotel lobby and I couldn't see it. I only saw it when he pointed me to it because it was tucked away, just put aside. So, and of course, the donation box didn't look very appealing. So
Mhm.
I guess that's why they put it in the corner. So in the future, we also want to be able to open up the fund for tourists to donate if they want to. And
Mhm.
the plan is to have really nice, not donation boxes, but cashless donations. So if they want to donate €2, they can just swipe their card there. And again, that would be also something branded with the hotel logo. And it's all about appealing to the ego of
Mhm.
hotel owners, restaurant owners, and companies. Essentially, that is what we need to do, because just hoping that they're going to be good and hoping that they're animal lovers is just not enough.
No.
Yeah, so I would say that this is basically what we're trying to achieve. What we do need right now is just for people to support us by registering to a newsletter. And like you said, that's it. You don't need to do anything else other than subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And I guess as a parenthesis as well, because we have received a few comments about this, if people, some people say that it's too much data that we would have on them. We don't think so from a marketing perspective, but we understand personal choice of people to not want to share their data. So if you don't want to register to the newsletter, just follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's just as powerful. Influencers need a following on their social media channels, and of course, some of them have newsletters. So
And likes and comments
likes and
and shares.
comments. For sure, definitely that's helpful. But the first thing they need to do is just follow, because the follower count, that's what defines how much sponsorship you can get and what companies want to get involved. You can be a micro influencer, and I think that's probably between 1,000 to 10,000 followers, or you can be like a medium influencer, and that's I think between 10,000 to 100,000, and anything over 100,000, and the game changes. It's it can be very, very successful. And as you can see, this project is shifting responsibility from people having to donate and people feeling guilty that they're not donating, shifting the responsibility to hotels and companies and restaurants.
Yes, and it's a lot easier for them, and they get donation receipts. Are you doing the donation receipts from Animal Ally Society or the local NGOs doing the donation receipts?
We're going to be doing it since the money is going to get collected
Mhm.
into Animal Ally Society. Then we need to be in charge of that and then
Okay.
distribute it. But essentially, we're taking everything step by step. So the first, like I said, after uniting a few NGOs just to have a bit of a start, because of course we can't go out to 100 NGOs without knowing if this is going to work. We
Mhm.
just got a few on board to have them on the website and have them as collaborators. And now the key part is to see if people respond to this project, if they register and if they follow. Because if they do not, then
It's in
we
vain.
just can't continue. It's then it's not going to work. This is the most vital part of the project, and like I said earlier, right now we're financing the social media ads because that's
Mhm.
the most, I would say that's the most, that's the best way to reach people is through social media ads, mostly on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm quite happy to say that right now we've launched this project about 7 days ago, so about a week,
Mhm.
and we already have around 1,000 newsletter subscribers.
That's great.
So that's very good considering that, we're not spending a high amount of money,
Mm?
but it's a very good return on investment, so to say.
Yes. So hopefully it's going to be 4 or 5 thousand within 4 weeks, and yeah, and then
Exactly. But we
we
need a
don't
lot
need
more.
this curve,
So
we need this curve.
exactly. So now we're also trying to focus more on organic growth, and that's growth where you don't have to pay for ads, but rather newspapers writing an article about it. We see this example for Taki's shelter,
Mhm.
right? So they exploded when Daily Mail wrote an article about them. So we're trying to speak to journalists now and see if someone can pick up the story, write about it, maybe interview us. So we need that type of organic growth, and of course, people sharing, especially with their family and friends, because they're the ones that are most likely to subscribe. So that's what we need, just a lot of organic growth in parallel with the digital marketing ads.
So for the individual who is watching, please subscribe. And please ask your family members to subscribe as well. And ask them to ask their friends to subscribe.
Hmm,
So if we all do that, within short time you will hit that million.
exactly.
So hopefully end of the year you are there.
Hmm, that is exactly it. Hmm.
And then it's a major vision, you know. It's a
It
major
is. It's
vision to get the NGOs together and to build a platform that can really, on a high level, support animal welfare. And then
mhm,
you have the power to talk to governments. And once you conquered one country, the next one.
exactly. And that's why it's so important to just get people together and support the movement. And this is something that even as a child, I was thinking about in Romania. Why doesn't the government create one single fund where we can all donate and help the animals? And then the answer was quite simple, and I think it's the same in a lot of countries, is that nobody trusts the government
Yeah.
because governments tend to be corrupt. You never know where the money goes, and nobody trusts them. So we're hoping that by being transparent with who we are, our LinkedIn profiles, not to mention that in Sweden you can actually Google someone and find their home address and everything else about them. We're very transparent, and we hope to gain the trust of people through that.
Yes, and I think you are in a very trustable age. You have your jobs, you have your knowledge, you
Hmm.
know how the cookie crumbles, and now you can invest all what you are and all what you know in that big vision.
Exactly, exactly. So we all have full-time jobs. This is what we do outside of our work, spending all of our afternoons on this project. We've built the website, the all of the automation with the newsletter subscriptions, the posts. So it's all done outside of work hours.
Yeah, it's like all the NGOs do it. It's
Exactly.
outside the work hours. It's just the life. It's you know you go where your heart leads you to.
Exactly. And so many amazing people in Greece run some great NGOs, and it's just sad to hear the stories as well, and the lack of financial support, and just the fact that they need to focus so much on getting donations. We
Yeah,
want their focus to be on the
animals.
so we want to take away that responsibility for them and help them um, to get financial support.
So let's just talk about something. If we talk about the big animal and dog shelter in Kalamata, which is about 1 hour away from my place. They
Mm.
have more or less 1,000 dogs. They can't even feed on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's because they probably just get donations from people and both tourists and Greek people, but
That's not
that
enough.
just doesn't it's not enough. It's not enough. And one other thing about NGOs is that for any NGO that people donate to, recurring donations, so donations every single month, those are what keeps them going. So only donating one time is going to help them a little bit, but the main thing that any NGO needs is recurring donations. Whether you donate 1 or 2 euros every month, just make sure that you try to do it every month. And most NGOs have that option. Where you
Yeah.
can just donate a euro automatically every single month. And what is a euro? You can't even get a cup of coffee with it.
Yes, that's what I always ask. Please invest a cup of coffee in us.
Exactly. But in the end, it's also this struggle, especially for tourists, I think, not necessarily local people, but for tourists, that they don't feel like it's enough help. When you think about a euro, you think, how is that going to help? And that's not going to help, but like it adds up. So it adds up.
Definitely, definitely. It adds up. 100 people giving 1 euro or 3 euros, it's 100 or 300.
Mm.
And from that money, you can neuter, you can feed, you can do a lot of things.
Exactly. So that's why when we do speak to companies and to hotels and restaurants, what we want to do is not just like a one-time sponsorship, but more like they have to sponsor us every single month. So it's going to be sort of a recurring donation in return for them being mentioned as our partners slash allies
Hmm.
in the animal welfare movement.
Yes, and they can renew on a yearly basis or something.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly. So that's essentially the plan.
it's the
Yeah.
same here with my little NGO.
Mm,
And beneath this video on YouTube, I will list your Facebook account, your Instagram account, your TikTok account, and your website so
mm.
that everybody who wants to do something has no excuse.
Exactly.
Can
There's
do it. Subscribe, share, follow. Please, 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 please do so.
Exactly.
This
There's
is
no
a
excuse.
real chance to get animal welfare to a total different level. And we only need to succeed one time. If we succeed one time in one country, the rest follows automatically.
Exactly. And it's so important because if we were to open an NGO in Greece and just help the cats and dogs ourselves and neuter them, etc., that's just going to make an impact in a small area. There are so many NGOs already. So that's essentially what we want to do. We want to help the NGOs who are doing already a good job. Some of them focusing on neutering programs, some of them focusing on having shelters and neutering the animals. So each NGO has a certain strength. There are some that don't have a shelter at all. But what they do is they feed the cats, they take them to the vet, they treat them, they neuter them. So each NGO has a strength, and we just want to support all of them so that it's a cohesive project across Greece.
Yeah. I'm sure and I hope from the bottom of my heart, I hope you will succeed. And I'm sure in case you succeed, it will take less than 20 years and all the animal problem in Greece is solved.
I think so as well, especially in Greece. But this is what I tell everyone. This is not a short-term project. It's not like in a month from now, we're gonna be giving money left and right. This is a long-term project. So we're thinking years of development to get. And one of the biggest visions is this part with getting the hotels and restaurants involved and having them having this certificate implemented. Just the same thing as how everyone is familiar probably with the PETA certification or the Leaping
Mhm.
Bunny certification, or even similar to blue flag beaches, which I think a lot of tourists are
Mhm.
familiar with. So it's exactly the same thing. It's a certification for hotels who are contributing to animal welfare. And if in 10 years from now, we see 70% of the hotels having this certificate, then this project would have been a success. But again, we need the people. Like you said, we need them to follow, we need them to register because we ourselves, we don't have absolutely any power. The power comes from the people. And the more people we have and the more NGOs we have on board, then the stronger we will be together.
Yes, and there's so many people out there in the, even if we only think about the European Union, there's so many people out there. So please, please, please give us 1 million subscribers. It's not so, it's not so much to do.
It doesn't cost anything. And considering that it's, 30 million tourists every single year in Greece, like that's an enormous amount of people. It's an enormous amount of people. And I'm sure that a lot of them, I'm sure that 50% of them are animal lovers. So if they just joined the movement, we would be the biggest influencer as an NGO that we can be. So,
Yeah. And even
mm,
those people who don't love animals, they want the beach clean and they want the hotel orderly.
mm,
And for that to come true, they need to subscribe.
exactly. So it doesn't actually matter if you're an animal lover or not. But unfortunately, I'm assuming that people who don't love animals are not going to watch this live or follow us. But even for them, this is something that would help them as well because we're trying to minimize the amount of stray animals in Greece.
Yes, and so they wouldn't be bothered by these animals running around the tables in the taverna. So whether you're an animal lover or not, as long as you love Greece, subscribe.
Exactly. And it's actually quite terrible sometimes if you look at comments on I don't know, TripAdvisor or any other website like that. I saw one, I think last year. Someone commented that they get annoyed by the cats who are begging for food at restaurants, and they suggested that a good way to keep them away is to have a water bottle with like a spray and just spray them away. I feel like that's such a terrible thing to do. Who would do that? But there are people like that, unfortunately, who go to Greece as well. But based on statistics, the majority of people who go to Greece are animal lovers.
Yes.
And a lot of them go to Greece for the cats. Again, if you just check on TikTok, the videos that are there, people, there's a trend. There was a trend a couple of months ago where people were like, this is why I come to Greece. And then a bunch of videos with them petting the cats and things like that. So a lot of people go there for the cats. And it's really nice until you see a colony of cats that hasn't been taken care of. And there's so many health problems this past summer most of them were sick, a viral infection. I think it was. It's
If they are not fed well and if they are not dewormed, it's so easy for them to catch the cat flu or even to get cat AIDS, and then the population is gone.
exactly.
This is why I'm a vet, and first thing we do before we neuter and spay is we do the tests on the diseases. It makes it a bit more costly, but you have better possibilities to decide what to do.
Hmm. Of course. Yeah.
And as you said, every NGO has another topic, another feature.
Hmm.
Ours is the medical care.
Exactly. And I think it's good to mention to say that you're part of the project as well, because I don't think that we mentioned that during the live. uh
Yeah, yeah, I'm part of the project too. Yes, I support it. I subscribed. I follow.
yeah, but also officially as an NGO you are part of the project as well,
Yeah,
together with the other nonprofits. Amazing people, I have to say, just everyone, because like I said earlier, the NGOs that you see on our website, we've spoken to them, we've signed collaboration contracts, right? And it's just so, I don't even know what the word is, also a little bit humbling to see the amount of work that they do. And it's one thing for us to, create a website and engage with people and try to get them to subscribe. compared to being on the ground and going through the suffering that they're going, because there is a lot of suffering. There are a lot of cats that are dying, that can't be treated, a lot of dogs. It's heartbreaking. And I've spoken to people from NGOs who literally had some tears in their eyes when they were talking about these things, or they had a hard day and one of the cats or one of the dogs got diagnosed with, I don't know, let's say different cancers, like they have cancer of the ear. There's a lot of different diseases, and it's just heartbreaking to see how it impacts the people behind these NGOs. They care so deeply. Imagine just spending your life um, to help save animals. It's incredible.
Yes, and even we here in our little valley village. I live in a village with 30 people, and one of my neighbors, between Christmas and New Year, he threw his dog out on the street because the dog killed a chicken.
Mm.
So the dog came up to our sanctuary asking for food and help. Of course, we did take it in. But then three other dogs came along. And how much capacity do we have?
And that's how it happens. They just keep coming.
Coming and coming. I don't look anywhere for dogs or cats. It's enough those who are coming and finding the sanctuary to
Mm.
get all of them treated and fed and sheltered and adopted.
It's very hard. It's very, very hard. And I know this from when I was living in Romania as well with my parents. We've every animal we came across, pretty much every animal, we just took them. So this was the classic thing, just take the cat, take the dog, and we tried to give them to adoption after the vaccines and everything else. And sometimes just nobody wanted them. They were not as cute, maybe, or one of the cats was black and people didn't want a black cat. So we just ended up taking them until at some point we had, I think, 5 dogs and 6 cats. And yeah, that's just how it happens. You can't say no. What are you gonna do? Put them back on the street?
Hard. I can't. I just
Hmm.
can't. A woman called Diana, who's living around here and cares for animals, she called me and said, I found 23 puppies down at the beach this
Hmm.
week. All deserted, some of them infected with parvovirosis. What can one single person do with 23 little dogs?
No,
Unimaginable.
it's hard. And you can't leave them there. It's gonna
No.
haunt you. And it's just it's
And
incredibly
if you take it to the vet and you get them all treated, or you till they are in an age where they can be adopted, it's thousands of euros running down the street.
yeah.
And you have to take it from your purse. And it's the same with me. I don't get enough donations. I have to somehow pay as much as I can from my own funds.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. That's yeah, that's how it is. And that's what we're trying to change. We want to be able to give financial freedom in a way to NGOs to do what they do. And we need companies to cooperate because they are also part of the society, especially the ones that act in Greece. We need to get them involved, and marketing and just giving them something that drives profit potentially and awareness in return. That's the way to do it. Even if it's just a lot of these companies, they don't necessarily always want to sell their products. They also just want awareness, which means
Mhm.
people knowing about them and knowing about their offers. And this is one way that they can do it, and the money goes to a good cause as well. So it's
Yeah, and even
two
if you
bonuses.
can say fly again because they support animals.
Mm.
It's something.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing, especially when we talk about hotels and restaurants. I think that would be something really good. And like you said, it doesn't matter if you're an animal lover or not. The tourists are going to appreciate the fact that you're doing something about it. You're not
Mhm.
just taking their money and, you know, not doing anything. You're contributing.
Okay, Andrea, I think we explained everything. So please do your final words.
My final words.
Push the topic.
So again, I just want to say that all you need to do is register, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to help push this movement forward. We can't do it without you, and you have absolutely nothing to lose. You can unsubscribe from the newsletter at any point. You can unfollow us if you don't like us. We're not asking you for money, so just support this movement, and in a few years from now, hopefully we can already see the impact of it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's
I'm absolutely positive and sure.
yeah, if the people back us, that's the only variable.
That's vital, and I hope you make it.
Thank
As
you.
far as I can push it, I will do.
Thank you. And thank you for having us on your live. Hopefully in the future we'll organize more as well.
Yes, yes.
Hmm?
Thank you for giving all your knowledge into this project. Without you having all this marketing knowledge, it wouldn't be possible.
No, exactly. I think that's the key thing. We're just using our skills to push this project forward. And what's also lacking in a lot of NGOs. Now we have a lot of corporate experience. We've worked with corporations our whole working life, so we know how they work and we know how to get them to participate. Yeah.
May you be successful and may the power be with you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us today.
Okay, see you. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.